our honest review of Disney's California Adventure. It's gonna be loud.
That's loud.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Andy.
And today we're giving you our honest review of Disney California Adventure. We're going to go through different categories and give you our overall ranking. Now, we haven't seen what each other has given, so it's going to be a surprise to both of us. I'm assuming Andy is going to be a bit more positive and I'm going to be a bit more realistic.
We're big fans of Disney, but this is our first time at the California parks. So we're coming to this with fresh perspectives. Now, before we begin, we're excited to announce that we're visiting Magic Kingdom on June 28th for the grand opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Subscribe below, it's totally free and you won't miss that adventure. Category number one is probably the most important category when reviewing a Disney park. It's attractions and entertainment. So the first thing you're going to notice when you walk into DCA or Disney California Adventure, it's a very small park. This is not necessarily Disney's fault because they are very restricted for space in this area. It's not like Walt Disney World where they can just keep expanding and expanding. There are some unique rides at DCA that you can't find anywhere else, like Cars Land, which doesn't exist in any other Disney park. It's a really immersive land based on Pixar's Cars, and it is fantastic at night.
So I actually think that the fact that they have very little space in Anaheim is a pro. And the reason for this is because if you go to Disney World, you'll have to go to Hollywood Studios, Epcot, to do Tower of Terror, Test Track, Soarin', Toy Story Mania. You can actually do all of this in one park.
They actually have a really good balance of thrilling rides and family rides. I could see anybody going there and having a really good time. Now, those are the positives. Some of the negatives are the fact that the rides went down a lot when we were there. There was actually a point in time where every single ride was temporarily closed at Pixar Pier.
So that was attractions, but there's also entertainment. So on my list, there were two things that I wanted to highlight. One is World of Color. So this is their nighttime spectacular. To be honest, we weren't really looking forward to this because we've gone to Universal Studios in Florida and seen a very similar show, but Disney does a much better job of it. The water effects were super high. The pyrotechnics were really cool. You have the backdrop of the Ferris wheel in the back as well as the Incredicoaster. The one negative about this is they really don't have that fireworks throughout the week and not at all at Disney California Adventure. But working within their limitations, it was a really fun show.
Yeah, I completely agree. World of Color was amazing. On the flip side, something that I thought was a negative was the character meet and greets. So we've been told for a long time that Disneyland Resort is different from Disney World because the characters are freely roaming and interacting with guests. But at least the day we were there, we didn't see that many characters. And when we did, it seemed very chaotic and disorganized. So we actually got into a line to meet Mickey Mouse, and then all of a sudden Mickey had to move to a different location. And they didn't take the line with him, they just sort of said, follow Mickey. And a whole bunch of people got in the new line ahead of us, and it was very chaotic. And now it's time to reveal our scores. I gave it a higher score, a 9.
That surprises me because you said you were going to be more realistic.
So for attractions and entertainment, that gives us an average of 8.5 out of 10. And the next category is food and dining. Keep in mind, we were only there for one day and there's only so much food that you can eat. So first of all, because the park is very small, there were very few options in general. What I will say is there was a lot of festival booths around DCA themed to Pixar for Pixar Fest, which we were there during, but the festival booths weren't open yet. So we did watch YouTube videos before going and we picked the things that people tend to like the most. And to be honest, I didn't love a lot of it. So there are great themes to some of the restaurants like Pim's Test Kitchen, but none of the food stood out to us.
So for dining and food, I thought Disney California Adventure did a great job on theming. We went to Pim's Test Kitchen and it was really cute to see, a giant focaccia bread with the tiniest egg on top. The cozy cone, super cute because there were 5 different booths and they all had different food items themed to cones. I will agree with Patrick though, none of the food was super memorable. The one restaurant I would agree to probably skip is Wine Country. It's a sit-down restaurant, it's a little bit more expensive, and the theming was very mediocre. And Disney California Adventure is one of those parks where you can pretty much drink anywhere. With that being said, you kind of get very basic drinks for the price that you pay.
Okay, now it's time to reveal our scores. A 6.
A 7 for an average score of 6.5 on dining and drinks. So number 3, atmosphere and crowds. This is a huge factor when going to any Disney park. So on my pro list is the overall feeling you get at this park. The theming is incredible. My favorite was Pixar Pier at night. I am a huge fan of string lights and it had a ton of that at the pier. The Ferris wheel, the roller coaster in the background, it all made it feel like a county fair, but in a giant park that is Disney. And that is such a unique feeling to have.
So I feel the same way. I didn't really get the Disney magic feeling during the day, but I did get it at night. Like Andy said, the atmosphere is amazing. There's a ton of lights, and especially Pixar Pier Boardwalk. It just feels down home, very carnival-esque, and kind of gives you that nostalgic feeling for your childhood.
Now for crowds. One really positive note about the crowds is how friendly they are. On the negative side of the crowds, I would say closer to the end of the day and after like school's let out and after work has let out, we noticed a lot more teenagers were in the park. And I think that's kind of maybe natural because you have this amazing park in your backyard. The one negative here is that if you're not a big fan of a bunch of teenagers around you, there's gonna be a ton of them at night.
Around 3 to 4 p.m., it really started picking up. And this was a Tuesday. So I can't even imagine what it would be like on a Friday, for example, because everybody's getting off work early and maybe they skipped school that day. But yeah, I agree with everything you just said. People were friendly. Even though it was really busy at night, it didn't hinder our time whatsoever.
And to be honest, we're probably just jealous that we didn't get to go to DCA as teenagers. Now for the score.
Boom!
8 and 9.
8 and 9 for an average score of 8.5. Pretty good.
I like how consistent we are at this.
Pretty good, pretty good. Number 4, the category is value for money. This is the most subjective category because it depends on your financial situation and what you're used to paying for.
I think a lot of times people think of a Disney vacation as really expensive, and that is completely valid because you have to pay for flights, hotels, park tickets, food, transportation costs, and it all adds up. For the purposes of this video, we're looking at the value of just going to DCA for that one day.
We paid $134 to go on a Tuesday, but I did notice that some Fridays and Saturdays in the month of May go all the way up to $194, and that is a lot for a single day ticket. And then once you're inside of DCA, the food prices and the merch prices are quite high. While we had a really good time, I do find it quite expensive.
So from my perspective, I actually thought there was a lot of value in what we got for the price that we paid for the ticket. To Patrick's point, if you do want to save money, try going on the weekdays because it might be cheaper than the weekends. When I was thinking about this, our park day was from 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. So that was a full 13 hours in the park. And if you know us, we're one of those people that does rope drop till park close.
Because we're cheap.
We're very cheap that way. We want to maximize our value. So in that sense, the ticket price worked out to be about $10 an hour to be in the park. Now, when you compare that to going to movie theaters, a lot of tickets now cost $20 to $30 for a 1.5 hour movie.
You don't have to rationalize everything.
Plus, on the day that we went, we didn't need Genie Plus at all because the crowds were thinner during the day and we pretty much did all the rides we wanted to. Plus, we love that Disney California Adventure lets you keep the ride photos without paying for Genie Plus. So in this grand scheme of things, I thought the value was actually there.
Clearly, we don't really agree on this one, so this will be interesting. We're about to reveal our scores.
Boom, boom. 7 and a 9 for an average score of 8.
And the final category is customer service. Now, we all know Disney is known for the Disney difference, and cast members are fantastic people who are there to make your vacation more memorable. This is the category we might get more hate on than the others. I have a very strong opinion on this. Because DCA is a local theme park in the center of the city, I felt that the cast members who work there were more just thinking about it as another job, which I don't fault anyone for, but it's a lot different than Florida and Walt Disney World. People move to Orlando from all over the world just to work at Walt Disney World. It's their dream job, and you can really tell when you're there, they are trying to make you feel special. That's what we're used to. So I strongly felt there was a lack of love for the job. And of course, we probably have the same example. In Walt Disney World, all the Disney photographers have no problem taking your phone and snapping 100 photos of you. They're more than happy to do it. When we were at DCA and had a Disney photographer take photos of us and our friends in front of the Ferris wheel, I asked, can you take a quick one with the phone as well for social media? And he said, no, I'm not doing that today. And I laughed because I thought he was joking.
Are you serious?
We have never experienced that. Even Universal will take your phone and snap photos, actually. That really stuck with me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Another example was, we were going on a ride and we asked the cast member if we can be at the back of the roller coaster. And they just said, we don't take requests, and just said, go here. Versus at Disney World, you've been lining up for 60 minutes to go on a ride. If you tell them you want to be at the front of the roller coaster, the middle, or the back, they're more than happy to accommodate you.
Yeah, and it could be a case of, they don't have enough space to actually accommodate ride requests. But if that's the case, they should be telling you that and being a little bit more friendly about it. It was sort of just too bad, so sad. We don't do that. And we're just not used to that.
I still remember we were going on Goofy's Sky School. There was just a cast member that was like slumped on his chair like this, looking like he did not want to be there. And it kind of just felt like it ruined that moment because it felt like you were an annoyance to the cast member for being there, which is definitely not the feeling you would want people to feel when you're at their parks. With all that being said, I still felt like the cast members generally were really nice.
Now it's time for our scores. The final one. 3, 2, 1. 7. Finally,
we agreed.
Yay.
Finally.
And there you have it, our honest review of DCA. We're giving it an overall score of 7.7 out of 10. We would definitely go back to DCA when we're in California because they have some very underrated attractions and some great theming. So again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's free and it really helps us grow. And with that, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.